If you are currently exhausting yourself, desperately trying to manipulate the physical world, and aggressively forcing your reality to give you money, you are failing miserably. You have fallen for the greatest, most cruel scam in the personal development world. You are trapped in the absolute illusion of forced action. Society and fake financial gurus have brainwashed you into believing that your anxious, forced sweat is the currency that buys wealth. Today, as a teacher of the uncompromising laws of Neville Goddard, I am going to completely shatter this illusion. I am going to prove to you exactly why trying to force it is the exact frequency that is aggressively repelling your money. I am going to teach you the ultimate spiritual arrogance of the master, and I will show you exactly how to completely stop forcing it, step back, and effortlessly let millions of dollars come to you without lifting a single exhausted finger. Here is your ultimate reward for paying attention to this masterclass today. Physical action does not create wealth. Physical action is nothing but the delayed, dead shadow of your internal state of consciousness. If you are finally ready to stop sweating like a desperate slave to the economy, if you are ready to drop the heavy burden of the hustle culture, and if you want to assume the quiet, unbothered posture of the monarch who dictates reality without breaking a sweat, take a brief moment to subscribe to this channel right now. Your exhausting era of desperate physical labor ends today, and your era of effortless, arrogant dominion begins right in this exact microsecond. We must begin by completely deconstructing the multi-billion-dollar lie of the hustle culture. From the moment you were born, you were injected with a toxic mathematical equation. You were taught that time plus physical effort equals money. You were told that if you want to be a millionaire, you must outwork everyone else in the room. You must wake up at 4 in the morning. You must grind. You must hustle, and you must force the world to give you what you want through sheer physical willpower. I want you to look at the real world and realize how mathematically absurd this equation actually is. If hard physical work and long hours truly created massive wealth, then the construction workers, the factory employees, and the people working 3 minimum wage jobs would be the richest people on the planet. They work harder, sweat more, and exhaust themselves far more than any billionaire ever has. But they are completely broke. Meanwhile, the individuals who possess hundreds of millions of dollars spend their days sitting on yachts, playing golf, having leisurely lunches, and doing absolutely no hard physical labor whatsoever. The universe is screaming the truth right into your face, but you have been too brainwashed by the hustle culture to see it. Wealth has absolutely nothing to do with the amount of physical energy you expend in the three-dimensional world. Wealth is not a reward for burning yourself out. Wealth is a natural, effortless byproduct of a specific state of consciousness. To truly understand why you do not need to lift a finger to manifest millions, you must deeply understand how Neville Goddard viewed the physical human body. Neville taught that the entire three-dimensional world, including the physical body that you are currently wearing, is a dead garment. It is a completely sterile, powerless, mechanical puppet. The physical body has absolutely no ability to create anything. It has no free will to initiate a new reality. The body is simply an instrument of expression. It is a biological machine designed to perfectly act out the script that is written by your dominant state of consciousness. I want you to imagine a master painter standing in front of a blank canvas. The painter is holding a wooden paintbrush. The painter has a brilliant, beautiful vision of a masterpiece in their mind. When the painting is finally finished and sold for millions of dollars, nobody in their right mind praises the wooden paintbrush. The paintbrush did not create the art. The paintbrush has no brain, no vision, and no creative power. The paintbrush was simply the dead tool that was moved by the invisible genius of the painter. Your physical body is exactly like that wooden paintbrush. The invisible, formless consciousness inside of you, the profound I am, is the master painter. When you try to get rich by forcing yourself to work 14 hours a day, when you try to hustle your way to millions of dollars, you are committing a massive spiritual error. You are behaving like a crazy person who has placed a wooden paintbrush on the floor and is aggressively screaming at the paintbrush, commanding it to magically paint a masterpiece all by itself. You are demanding that the dead tool perform the job of the creator. This is exactly why you feel so incredibly exhausted, frustrated, and depressed. You are trying to force a dead shadow to generate light. You are trying to squeeze water from a stone. The physical world cannot generate wealth. It can only reflect the wealth that has already been generated in the invisible quantum field of your imagination. When you assume the state of poverty, when you feel desperate and broke, your consciousness writes a script of struggle. It then commands your physical body, the puppet, to act out that struggle. So you find yourself working terrible jobs, dealing with difficult people, and running on a hamster wheel of permanent exhaustion. Your hard work is not the path to your wealth. Your hard work is the physical punishment you are forced to endure because you have chosen to occupy the state of lack. We must brutally expose and destroy one of the most toxic, confusing concepts in the entire manifestation community. We must destroy the lie of inspired action. Fake spiritual gurus and life coaches love to use this term. They tell you that you must visualize your millions of dollars, you must feel the feeling of the wish fulfilled, but then you must go out into the physical world and take massive inspired action to make it happen. They tell you that you have to meet the universe halfway. They tell you that God needs your physical help to deliver the money. This is an absolute insult to the supreme power of your own consciousness. It is a contradiction that completely destroys your manifestation. Think about the sheer arrogance of this concept. You are dealing with the infinite, boundless quantum field, the supreme operant power that created the galaxies, the stars, and the entire physical matrix. And you honestly believe that this infinite power needs your exhausted, anxious, human physical body to help it figure out how to put money in your bank account. You do not help the universe. You do not negotiate with the universe. You do not meet the universe halfway. You command the universe, and the universe does the rest of the work. When the gurus tell you to take action to help your manifestation, they are secretly teaching you how to stay broke. Why? Because the very concept of trying to make something happen in the physical world is born entirely out of doubt. It is born out of fear. If you truly, deeply, and absolutely believed that you were already a multimillionaire in your imagination, you would not feel the frantic, desperate urge to lift a finger to make it happen. I want you to imagine that you just ordered a package online. You paid for it, you received the confirmation email, and you know with 100% certainty that the package is in the mail and will arrive at your door tomorrow. Do you run out of your house, drive down the highway, chase the delivery truck, and try to grab the package out of the driver's hands to speed up the process? Of course not. That would be insane. That would prove that you do not trust the delivery system. You stay inside your comfortable house, you sit on your couch, you relax, and you let the system do its job. You let the package come to you. You do not lift a finger. You rest in the absolute certainty of the finished transaction. When you try to take forced action to manifest your wealth, you are chasing the delivery truck. You are screaming to your subconscious mind that the manifestation is not real, that the law of assumption is broken, and that if you do not physically intervene, the money will never arrive. Your forced action is a massive, undeniable declaration of your own disbelief. And because the universe perfectly mirrors your dominant state, it looks at your frantic, doubting, exhausted action, and it says, this person does not believe they are wealthy, they believe they have to fight for survival. Therefore, I will give them more situations where they have to fight for survival. Your hustle is actively canceling your millions. Every time you try to force a business deal out of fear, every time you send a desperate email trying to get a client, and every time you sacrifice your peace of mind to grind for an extra dollar, you are pushing your massive wealth further and further away into the distance. You are blocking the natural flow of the quantum field with your clumsy, desperate physical interference. Neville Goddard was relentlessly clear about this. He said that you must entirely leave the physical world alone. You must literally turn your back on the three-dimensional reality and ignore it completely. The physical world is the realm of effects, not the realm of causes. You cannot change the cause by violently manipulating the effect. If you look at a shadow on the wall and you do not like the shape of the shadow, you do not walk up to the wall and try to push the shadow into a different shape with your bare hands. That is exactly what the hustle culture tells you to do. The hustle culture tells you to fight the shadows. But the master of manifestation knows that to change the shadow, you simply change the object that is standing in front of the light. You change your internal identity. You change your assumption. And when you change the assumption, the shadow on the wall has absolutely no choice but to automatically, effortlessly, and instantly alter its shape to match the new light. It requires absolutely zero physical effort. The idea that you do not need to lift a finger is terrifying to the average human mind. It is terrifying because your ego is completely addicted to the illusion of control. Your ego wants to feel important. Your ego wants to take the credit for your success. Your ego wants to be able to say, "Look at how hard I worked. Look at how much I sacrificed. I earned this money through my own blood and sweat." The ego hates the law of assumption because the law of assumption strips the ego of all its false power. The law of assumption demands surrender. It demands that you accept that your physical body is just a puppet and that the only true work is done entirely in the silent, invisible realm of your own imagination. To step into the reality of effortless millions, you must be willing to crush your own ego. You must be willing to let go of the toxic pride you feel when you are exhausted. You must stop wearing your burnout as a badge of honor. Nobody cares how tired you are. The universe does not reward your exhaustion. The universe only rewards your alignment. When you finally realize that your physical effort is completely irrelevant to your financial success, a massive, crushing weight is lifted off your shoulders. You realize that you have been fighting a war against a ghost. You have been running on a treadmill, exhausting your muscles, sweating profusely, and wondering why the scenery never changes. You do not need to run faster. You simply need to step off the machine. You need to stop trying to manipulate the dead garment of the physical world. The money you desperately want is not hiding behind 14 hours of hard labor. It is not waiting for you to complete a massive checklist of physical tasks. The money is simply waiting for you to stop acting like a desperate worker and start acting like the unbothered owner. The owner sits on the throne. The owner gives the invisible command in their imagination, and the entire physical universe scrambles to execute that command without the owner ever needing to lift a single physical finger to assist in the construction. Your logical mind is probably screaming at you right now. Your deeply conditioned, rational brain is trying to defend the hustle culture. It is asking a very common, very panicked question. It is asking, if I do not lift a single physical finger, if I completely stop working hard and trying to force things to happen, does that mean I am just supposed to lay in my bed all day, stare at the ceiling, and wait for millions of dollars to magically drop through the roof into my lap? This is the exact misunderstanding that keeps millions of people trapped in poverty. You must absolutely understand what Neville Goddard actually meant when he said you do not need to do anything. He did not mean that your physical body will instantly become paralyzed. He did not mean that you will turn into a statue. What he meant was that the physical actions you end up taking will no longer be born out of your own conscious, exhausted, desperate effort. You will not have to consciously decide to work hard. Instead, your physical body will be entirely hijacked by the supreme power of your assumed state. You will be physically compelled to act. You will be moved across a bridge of incidents. Neville Goddard taught that the moment you completely assume the state of the wish fulfilled in your imagination, the exact second you accept your massive wealth as an undeniable, finished fact, the quantum field instantly calculates the most perfect, efficient, and natural sequence of physical events required to materialize that wealth in your three-dimensional world. This sequence of events is called the bridge of incidents. And here is the most terrifying and beautiful truth about this bridge. You do not have the free will to avoid it. Your physical body, which is just a dead garment, is violently compelled to walk across this bridge. But because the universe is so incredibly brilliant, and because it operates through the path of least resistance, walking across this bridge will not feel like hard work to you. It will not feel like a hustle. It will feel so entirely natural, so completely logical and so effortless that looking back you will swear you did it all by yourself. You will suddenly feel an overwhelming, undeniable urge to go to a specific coffee shop on a Tuesday morning. You will not know why you are going there. You will just feel like doing it. You will sit down and the person sitting next to you will casually mention a business opportunity that instantly makes you a millionaire. You did not aggressively hunt down that opportunity. You did not exhaust yourself sending 1,000 desperate emails. You were simply moved, like a wooden chess piece on a board, by the invisible hand of your own consciousness. The master of manifestation does not lift a finger in the sense of forced anxious labor. The master allows themselves to be moved. When you are forcing reality, you are pushing a massive, incredibly heavy boulder up a steep mountain. Every step is agonizing. Your muscles are burning, you are sweating, and if you let go for even 1 second, the boulder crushes you. This is how the average person tries to get rich. But when you occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, you are standing at the bottom of the mountain. and the universe is simply rolling the boulder of wealth gently down the hill, directly into your open arms. Gravity is doing all the work. The physical actions you take while you are on the bridge of incidents are the equivalent of gravity. You will suddenly write a book in 3 days without feeling tired. You will launch a business idea that flows out of your brain effortlessly. You will make a simple phone call that changes your entire financial destiny. The action is entirely automatic. It is the zombie effect. Your body becomes a sleepwalker, flawlessly executing the script of wealth that you already wrote in your imagination. But I know exactly why you are struggling to experience this effortless bridge of incidents. I know why you cannot seem to access this automatic flow, and why you are constantly reverting back to the exhausting, painful hustle. It is because your physical nervous system is deeply addicted to the trauma of hard work. You have been biologically conditioned to believe that if you are not suffering, you are not being productive. Your physical body equates tension, stress, and physical exhaustion with safety. Your primitive brain believes that if you relax, if you stop desperately fighting for survival, you are going to starve to death and lose everything. So the moment the universe tries to move you effortlessly across the bridge of incidents, your nervous system violently hits the brakes. You start to panic, you feel guilty for resting, you feel lazy. You immediately jump back on the treadmill of hard work, deliberately creating complex problems for yourself to solve, just so you can feel the familiar, comforting surge of cortisol and adrenaline. You are physically addicted to the struggle, and your body is literally rejecting the easy, effortless millions that are trying to reach you. You cannot surrender to the bridge of incidents if your physical body is locked in a state of violent biological terror. You cannot assume the lazy, effortless posture of the monarch while your nervous system is screaming like a frightened peasant. To finally break the curse of the hustle culture and to allow the universe to do the heavy lifting for you, you must manually deactivate the survival alarm inside your physical hardware, because this biological addiction to hard work is the absolute greatest barrier to your massive wealth. I refuse to let you fight this invisible enemy alone. I want you to look right below this video, in the pinned comment section. I have left a highly specific, vital physical protocol there for you. It is entirely designed to override your addicted brain, regulate your nervous system, and instantly flush the toxic survival hormones out of your bloodstream. It is the missing mechanical bridge between your intellectual understanding of Neville Goddard and your physical ability to actually surrender to the law. Go to the pinned comment and use this protocol to force your physical body into a state of deep, undeniable safety. When your body finally realizes that it does not need to suffer to survive, the desperate compulsion to hustle will completely evaporate. You will finally stop fighting the current, and you will allow the river of wealth to effortlessly carry you to your destination. Once your physical vessel is entirely regulated, and you stop desperately interfering with the quantum field, you will finally understand the profound danger of what Aldous Huxley and Neville Goddard called the law of reversed effort. The law of reversed effort states that whenever your conscious willpower and your subconscious imagination are in conflict, your imagination will always win. But more importantly, the harder you consciously try to force the outcome with your physical willpower, the more you will actually achieve the exact opposite of what you desire. Let me give you a brilliant example of this law in action. Imagine that you are riding a bicycle and you see a small rock on the road ahead of you. You consciously decide that you do not want to hit the rock. You grip the handlebars tightly. You tense your muscles. You stare directly at the rock, aggressively using your physical willpower to avoid it. And what happens? You steer your bicycle directly into the rock. Your intense physical effort, your tension, and your anxiety actually guaranteed the failure you were trying to prevent. If you had simply relaxed your grip, looked past the rock at the open road, and trusted your natural balance, you would have glided right past it effortlessly. This is exactly what you are doing with your money. You are staring directly at your empty bank account, gripping the steering wheel of your life with white knuckles, and desperately forcing it to change. You are intensely using your conscious willpower to force your way around the obstacle of poverty. And because of the law of reversed effort, this violent forced physical struggle is steering you directly into massive debt and absolute burnout. You must permanently stop forcing it if you want the universe to finally let the millions come to you. The tension in your physical body is a loud, undeniable broadcast to the universe. It is screaming, "I do not have what I want. I am terrified. and I must use physical force to manipulate the world. You are creating massive energetic friction. The universe cannot deliver millions of dollars through a pipe that is completely clogged with tension and desperate effort. The wealth is trying to flow to you, but your frantic physical hustle is acting as a massive concrete dam, blocking the water from ever reaching your fields. You must realize that trying too hard is the ultimate symptom of disbelief. If you actually believed that you were a master of reality, you would not try, you would simply assume. Trying implies the possibility of failure. When you say, "I am trying to get rich," you are admitting that you are currently not rich, and you are leaving the door wide open for poverty to enter. You must permanently eliminate the word try from your vocabulary, and you must entirely eliminate the concept of physical struggle from your behavior. The kingdom of heaven, the absolute realization of your massive wealth, cannot be taken by physical force. It cannot be bought with blood, sweat, and tears. It can only be entered through the quiet, arrogant door of assumption. The greatest deception of the modern world is that physical action is the cause of reality. It is not the cause, it is the effect. When you see a highly successful person working, you assume that their work is what made them successful. You are entirely backwards. Their internal assumption of success is what forced them to work in that specific, highly leveraged, incredibly efficient way. They did not hustle their way to the top. They assumed they were already at the top, and the universe moved their physical bodies across a perfect bridge of incidents to reflect that assumption in the three-dimensional world. They were compelled, they were moved, and because they were aligned with their dominant state, the work did not feel like a burden. It felt like a perfectly choreographed dance. If you want to experience this beautiful, effortless choreography, you must stop trying to lead the dance. You must step back, drop your arms, relax your exhausted muscles, and let the infinite intelligence of the quantum field physically move you exactly where you need to be. We have completely dismantled the illusion of physical labor, and we have destroyed the dangerous lie of inspired action. You now understand that your physical body is merely a dead garment, a wooden paintbrush, being moved across a perfectly calculated bridge of incidents by the invisible hand of your consciousness. But to truly master the law of assumption, and to permanently stop lifting a finger to manifest your millions, you must achieve the ultimate psychological state of the creator. You must enter the profound, beautiful, and absolutely arrogant state that Neville Goddard called the Sabbath. The spiritual community has completely misunderstood the Sabbath. They think the Sabbath is simply a day of the week where you do not go to your job. They think it is a religious holiday. This is a massive, incredibly limited misinterpretation of ancient mystical psychology. The Sabbath is not a day of the week. The Sabbath is the ultimate state of human consciousness. It is the exact moment when you realize that your massive wealth is an absolute, finished, undeniable fact, and therefore you completely cease all mental and physical effort to make it happen. In the ancient story of creation, the Creator worked for 6 days, and on the 7th day, realizing that the work was perfectly finished and completely good, the Creator rested. You are the operant power of your reality. You are the sole creator of your universe. When you assume the state of the multimillionaire in your imagination, when you feel the heavy, boring weight of your massive wealth, you have completed the 6 days of work. The creation is entirely finished in the quantum field. Your only remaining job is to enter the 7th day. Your only job is to completely, unconditionally rest. But what does it actually mean to rest? It means that you achieve a state of absolute psychological immobility regarding your desire. It means you stop searching for techniques to force the money to come. It means you stop frantically watching manifestation videos to figure out what you are doing wrong. It means you stop checking your bank account every 10 minutes to see if the universe has finally delivered your millions. If you are checking your bank account in a state of panic, you are not in the Sabbath. You are still working. You are still lifting a mental finger, desperately trying to manipulate the three-dimensional mirror. To remain in the Sabbath, you must entirely surrender the most addictive, toxic question in the human language. You must completely give up the need to know how the money is going to arrive. The human ego is absolutely obsessed with the concept of how. When you decide to manifest millions of dollars, your logical brain immediately starts trying to draw a map. It says, maybe I will win the lottery, maybe my small business will suddenly go viral, or maybe I will receive an unexpected inheritance. Your brain tries to calculate the exact path that the money will take to reach your bank account. Neville Goddard explicitly warned us that trying to figure out the how is the absolute greatest manifestation killer in existence. It is the ultimate form of lifting a finger. When you try to outline the bridge of incidents, you are telling the infinite, boundless intelligence of the quantum field that you are smarter than it is. You are trying to restrict an infinite ocean of possibilities into a tiny, narrow, logical pipe that your human brain can understand. And because your human brain is incredibly limited, the pipe you create is always clogged with doubt, fear, and mathematical impossibility. You must realize that the how is absolutely none of your business. The how is the exclusive job of the universe. Your only job is the end. Your only job is to sit on the throne of the finished fact. I want you to imagine that you go to an incredibly expensive, high-end restaurant. You sit down at the table and you order a highly complex, beautifully prepared meal. After you give your order to the waiter, do you stand up from your table, walk into the kitchen, push the executive chef out of the way, and try to cook the meal yourself? Do you micromanage the temperature of the oven? Do you panic about how the chef is going to chop the vegetables? Of course you do not. You would be thrown out of the restaurant. You gave the command, and you simply trust the invisible process happening in the kitchen. You sit at your table, you relax, you talk to your friends, and you wait with the absolute boring certainty that the completed meal will be placed directly in front of you. The entire three-dimensional world is that kitchen. You have already placed the order for your millions of dollars. The quantum field is the executive chef, and it is currently preparing your reality with absolute perfection. Every time you worry about the how, every time you try to force a business deal or manipulate a person to get money, you are running into the kitchen and screaming at the chef. You are ruining the meal. You must sit back down at your table. You must enter the Sabbath, and you must allow the universe to serve you. How do you practically live your life from this state of absolute rest? How do you go to your normal job tomorrow? If you are not supposed to lift a finger to get rich, you still go to your job and you still pay your bills, but your internal psychological posture is completely, radically transformed. The old version of you went to work with a heavy heart, sweating and stressing, believing that the terrible job was your only source of survival. The new wealthy version of you goes to that exact same job as a completely detached sleepwalker. You perform the tasks of your day with the cold, unbothered apathy of an actor playing a role in a movie. You know that the job is just a temporary, meaningless prop on the bridge of incidents. When your boss yells at you or when a client rejects you, you do not feel a single drop of panic. You do not try to fight back or force the situation. You look at the chaotic physical world with the amused, arrogant smirk of the master. You realize that everything happening around you is simply the universe rearranging the furniture of your life to make room for your massive wealth. You do not lift a finger to fight the current, because you know the current is taking you directly to your throne. The true monarch of reality does not rush. The monarch does not panic. Panic is the emotion of the slave who is late for their shift. You must entirely eradicate the feeling of urgency from your nervous system. Urgency implies that your wealth is running away from you, and that if you do not act quickly, you will miss the opportunity. There are no missed opportunities in the quantum field. You cannot miss what you already are. If a door closes in your physical reality, you do not lift a finger to try and force it back open. You do not beg. You do not negotiate with closed doors. You simply stand still, completely unbothered, and you watch as the universe effortlessly demolishes the entire wall to build you a bigger, better door. This level of arrogant trust requires you to completely detach your emotions from the temporary facts of the physical world. You must look at an unexpected expense, a delayed paycheck, or an empty bank account and feel the crushing weight of your own apathy. You refuse to give the dead shadow any of your life force. You remain entirely locked in the silent, motionless state of the Sabbath. You have arrived at the ultimate threshold of this masterclass. I want you to take a deep, slow breath, and I want you to feel the massive, heavy chains of the hustle culture completely shattering and falling away from your body. You are officially fired from the hardest, most exhausting job in the world. You are fired from being the general manager of the universe. You no longer have to wake up every morning and try to figure out how to force the world to give you money. You no longer have to carry the crushing burden of physical effort, desperate action, and constant, agonizing anxiety. You have been completely absolved of the requirement to sweat for your survival. You are no longer the exhausted worker, desperately trying to paint a masterpiece with a broken wooden brush. You are the invisible, infinite consciousness that commands the entire gallery. You must never forget the profound, undeniable truth of your own identity. The money you desire is not hiding behind a mountain of forced action. The millions of dollars are not a reward for burning out your physical body and violently pushing against the three-dimensional world. When you completely stop forcing it, when you stop trying to manipulate the dead mirror of the physical reality, the resistance entirely collapses. The massive wealth that has been trying to reach you this entire time finally rushes into your reality, simply because you stopped forcing the universe, got out of your own way, and finally let the millions come to you. You created the massive, silent vacuum of the Sabbath, and the universe rushed in to fill that vacuum with physical gold. The days of hustling are over. The days of forced, anxious action are finished. The days of lifting a finger to survive have come to an absolute end. If you have stayed with me until this exact moment, your entire operating system has been permanently rewritten. You can never unhear this truth. You can never go back to being the panicked, exhausted slave who believes that money comes from physical pain. You know exactly how the law of reversed effort works, and you know the absolute supremacy of the Sabbath. But to permanently seal this new paradigm, to lock this arrogant, unbothered identity into the physical matrix of your three-dimensional reality, you must take one final, definitive action. You must leave a physical signature on the fabric of the universe that proves you have officially resigned from the hustle culture. I want you to step fully into the quiet, motionless power of the monarch. I want you to scroll down to the comments section directly below this video. I want you to type these exact words with the cold, mechanical certainty of a ruler who knows that their command is absolute law. Do not type it with excitement. Do not type it as a wish for the future. Type it as a boring, undeniable fact of your new existence. Type, I do not force reality. I allow wealth to serve me. Let the physical movement of your fingers typing those words be the absolute final effort you ever make regarding your wealth. Make the declaration right now. I do not force reality. I allow wealth to serve me. The hustle is over. The Sabbath has begun. Go enjoy the kingdom that is already yours.